This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. Bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bockoven.
Yes, it is great to be with you here on a Sunday evening. Talk some pro wrestling, especially this week. It's the week we all look forward to all year long, as WrestleMania 42 is this weekend in Las Vegas. Should be a lot of fun as we get into it, although it has been an interesting couple weeks. We took 1 week off because of Easter, of course, last week, and it was a week that the wrestling community will not soon forget, as Pat McAfee came in, pretty much trashed the business, jumped in a feud between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. And since then, we've had pipe bombs and all sorts of different things said, Augie. It was an interesting past couple of weeks of wrestling, but it is the WrestleMania preview show here, so we're not going to just dive into all of that. We're going to more kind of look forward and see what we expect as we have the two-night event coming up. But Augie, how have you kind of been processing these last couple of weeks of wrestling?
Man, it's been rough. There are some things you like, right? There are some feuds that I think are like the Brock Oba, just things like that are a lot of fun. But man, all these celebrities just getting, put down, and it's a big WrestleMania celebrity. Some of the talent that's being left off the WrestleMania card, I think, is kind of big. And then ultimately, just some of the people that have just been showing up, I don't know. It hasn't been great, but, I'll still give WrestleMania a chance. Obviously, it's WrestleMania. It's like you said, it's kind of what we look forward to as wrestling fans. But this one has the feelings that it could be one of the worst WrestleManias we've maybe seen in a while. Just Jelly Roll, Lil Yachty, Pat
just
McAfee,
a lot of celebrity. Yep.
I like Dennis Rodman, right?
Yeah.
But getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and I know they're known for that, but like, Dennis Rodman, going into the, it's just things like that that are getting there. But like I said, we'll give it a try. And man, last Friday I didn't watch it live, but when I was talking to you, I finally watched the show, and I was like, this was garbage. This was a bad 2 weeks before WrestleMania.
And it was, and that's what's interesting, because I've been talking to wrestling fans, and I think in general what it's done is it's really made wrestling fans that have kind of sat there, and like we watched every show all year and try to find the stories, piece them together, see what's kind of mattered throughout the feuds. And heck, for Cody and Randy Orton specifically, it's more than just the past year. I mean, this is a long 20-year journey that could have been easily and somewhat was wrapped together and really just needed to be baked a little bit more. And it would be one of your hottest matches going into WrestleMania. And again, so I think the everyday wrestling fan that's been watching the weekly programming is frustrated. But from what I kind of can sense from wrestling fans that maybe watch, still like the product, don't watch weekly, tune in for, WrestleMania certainly, but, maybe some of the large premium live events, that they kind of recognize some of these themes. The Pat McAfee's, that's a big deal, more than outside of wrestling, right? I Show Speed, obviously a huge time YouTuber and all that. So I think it's mainly the Pat McAfee thing. And he has taken over the entertainment industry one way or the other, in through all my favorite, the College Game Day, Wrestling Now. So it is kind of funny to see him do that. And again, I'm not the biggest Pat McAfee fan. I don't think I quite get it. I mean, as much as kind of the Barstool Sports sort of stuff, right? Like, yeah. I understand why it is entertaining. I think he's a great or pretty close to great commentator.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's been pretty good in the ring when we've seen him out there, especially for a celebrity. And that gets to the bigger question, is like, it's not necessarily every angle or every detail of this is the wrong direction. It just kind of stepped right over the feud that you were looking forward to the most, drained it into this weird, catch all the headlines, get all the, ESPN folks, outside people looking in. And again, the wrestling feud that made the most sense. We've been talking about it for years in this Cody thing. they have Cody and Randy whenever they want to. You can print money because the story writes itself, and they do it, and then they write a different story.
Yeah, and we were talking before the show, and it's like Randy Orton is the third or fourth person now in his own feud that we've been wanting, like you said, for years, because kind of a feud now I'm interested in is what, CM Punk is going to say, to Pat McAfee, because they've been calling each other out. And I'm going to say this as a former kicker punter, back in the day. I kind of like Pat McAfee because he was, kind of bringing some things into that. But man, just I don't know what they're doing. And he's trying to be The Rock, right? And we already have one of those in LA Knight. I hate to say it, but we have somebody already trying to imitate that stuff. But Pat McAfee, man, he's really just a different character, it seems like, right? Like he's still him, but it just feels like it's not really him either, if that makes sense. He's really trying to be somebody else there. And yeah, you don't need it. And Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee being a part of this match, that really, first off, my feelings about Jelly Roll. I'm just not a huge fan of his.
Right.
But then, Pat McAfee, I did like him, but man, this has all just been disgusting is one word to say it. I feel that because Randy Orton, I mean, he doesn't even do much. He hasn't, they've had some segments, but Pat McAfee gets a whole segment to himself.
Pat McAfee walked away with the belt.
It's like he's doing stuff like and it just doesn't make sense because when they reveal he was a guy that was talking to Randy Orton, why is Randy Orton taking advice from a commentator? That's never really wrestled. Like, it could have been Ted DiBiase. It could have been one of the McMahons. It could have been Triple H himself. The Rock. It could have been anyone that's tied into it. 2 weeks before WrestleMania, they're like, oh yeah, that guy's gonna be Pat McAfee, who hasn't been around, forever. Yeah, we're gonna insert him back in here because ticket sales are bad, and we want this to be the WrestleMania of celebrities.
Yeah, somehow they found to disappoint us more than Danhausen in the box. It ended up being Pat McAfee on the phone.
At least from that, they've pivoted though, and Danhausen has kind of been a lot of fun. So I'll take back horrible premiere because I had no idea who he was, debut. But the guy has been, I'm going to say this, he was the best part of Friday Night SmackDown, getting his debut match and him cursing everybody, talking like I want him on every show to do segments or whatever, fun, like all that. But
I love Danhausen too. Yeah. And that's what you hope is, even this hasn't been perfect and bad, and quite frankly, maybe once you put it on, like, I don't know what speaking of Dennis Rodman, I don't know what the feud was with, overall, like week to week. I wasn't watching weekly. I was like an 8-year-old kid or whatever it was, and I didn't have the opportunity to. I don't know what like the setup was for Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone to be involved with Hulk Hogan and Diamond Dallas Page, but it's an all-time like memory, right? It's an all-time match. And maybe that could be this way if you just putting it on the bright lights, if you somehow can put it on for folks that might like these celebrities a little bit more. Again, it's not that I don't dislike Pat McAfee. I understand Pat McAfee. I think he's been good mostly for wrestling. Mm-hmm. And again, I think maybe if you wanted to get him involved in the feud somehow, have him be doing something shocking, have him be a commentator, have him kind of get roped in and fisticuffs flying, and then he's got reason to do. But like you said, he doesn't really have reason. He's just kind of took out some words that he said on the Pat McAfee show. And again, now you're kind of blending in between what's real and what's not. Of course, I Show Speed also getting attacked in his live stream. So, I mean, but it all just feels a little bit like selling out with an angle that they hope would be NWO and ends up being the IWC, who is now getting mentioned on and how cool is that, but not in the way they want it to. And that's where you're still confused. Like, do they want Pat McAfee? If they want him to be the bad guy, then why is he announcing 25% off ticket sales?
Yeah.
Is it because he was the one that was made fun of ticket sales, which was a choice to begin with? I mean, and so I just don't even know. It's hard to wrap your head around like what even they thought was going to come out of this, but it is not going that direction. Again, I still think it could be saved at WrestleMania, but they're gonna have to pull a rabbit out of a hat at this point.
Yeah, it's tough, and I'm glad you mentioned the IWC in that, because I've heard people, WCW saying that what is happening to right now reminds a lot of people of kind of the dying days of how WCW was.
Yeah.
The only difference is you had David Arquette actually winning a belt.
Win the belt.
If Pat McAfee somehow wins a belt, then I think we can all just say, but it's very interesting because, we weren't here last week, but kind of what happened was it felt like a WWE versus TKO, right? Like
Yeah.
they're trying to get us interested in that as well. But I don't know, and so that's kind of where Pat McAfee comes in, and he was calling us all poor. Let's be honest. He was saying, we're going to do this because you guys are too poor. Well, one, this is the second year in a row that the show's in Las Vegas after taking it away from New Orleans, was it?
Yeah, I think so, yep.
Two, that's 2 nights. That's like some of us are, we're not poor, but we can't afford to drop like, 6. I went to go watch the Huskers in OKC. My bank account's hurting right now for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but I thought, okay, that's what it is. But and then him saying, don't even pay attention to night 2. Like, why is, WWE saying
choice.
that?
Yeah.
Like, I know what they're going for on the angle, but that's hurting them. Him saying, oh, none of these matches on night 2 even matter. Only 25% off for night 1 because night 2 is trash. Like, I couldn't believe I was hearing that. I'm like, I know the wrestling product isn't great, but if you look at night 1 and night 2, night 2 has some bangers. And like I said, I know, but for the casual fan, they're going to tune out, right? They're going to be like, oh, well then, if Pat McAfee is saying night 2 isn't going to be great. So they're doing a lot of things to hurt themselves right now. And there's the sad thing is there are quite a few matches that I'm very excited for, but the Demon,
Yeah.
I mean, when we talk about that one, I'm going to tell my feelings about how upset I am that they spoiled that the Demon is coming back. I wish they would have waited, but so there's a lot of those that are there, but the buildup, the hype, it's just the product has been so bad. And, we talk sometimes about how long these feuds last, stories take to build up. I think they did this last year too, where they inserted somebody 2 weeks before. I think it was Dom or something. If I'm not mistaken, some way. And we were like, oh, that's not going to work. It worked out this time. I think they just cut it too close, and then they added it to a feud that didn't need it.
Yeah. I mean, you certainly could have basically, if you really wanted to get the idea of what was going on into WrestleMania, just paid attention to these last couple weeks of weekly programming and not really paid attention to the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And nobody necessarily likes these last couple weeks of weekly programming, or at least that's the overwhelming thought about it. Again, this happens sometimes bleeding into WrestleMania. Like you said, you kind of got your matches set. You got to find different ways. So we'll see how it lands. Of course, let's go ahead and give our excitement meter when we talk about each of these matches for the match out of 10. And we can start with, okay, I'm just giving you two options here. Okay. I only need a number here. Andre the Giant, Battle Royal, Friday night.
7.
Solid. 8-man tag, MFTs and the Wyatt 6.
2.
I'm surprised I got a 2 out of you.
Yeah.
I can't believe we all predicted this for the last 6 months that it would end up on Friday Night SmackDown, and here we are.
I give it a 2 because I will watch it. I'll watch it, so that 1.5. We'll change to 1.5 because I don't care. But the Friday Night SmackDown before WrestleMania is always fun because it's the matches that don't make it, right? So obviously the Andre the Giant Battle Royale, maybe the U.S. Women's Title match might be on that because it didn't make it. Things like that, and you have them listed here on the Andre the Giant Battle Royale. So I'm rooting with you. I know that's your favorite thing.
I'm a 10 for Andre the Giant. Obviously.
Yeah, there you go. I go 7 just because they normally give it to somebody, and they do a good job with it, but they normally do give it to somebody that hasn't had a spectacular year, right? Somebody that needs it. In the past couple years, they've elevated. So Bronson Reed, Carmelo Hayes, those guys. But it's hard to get excited for the winner sometimes. But hey, if Danhausen ends up winning this thing,
there you go.
I think that could be a lot of fun.
Which we don't know. I wrote down some options. We don't know. They have not announced the group yet. I'm sure we might hear that tomorrow night, Monday night, or maybe not. Maybe it'll be a surprise for Friday. But there's, like you said, there's talented people left off the card that maybe this is their moment for the weekend.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you what, Royce Keys had his debut on Friday. I think he's the betting favorite.
Yeah,
for this Andre the Giant Battle Royale because they've been holding off on his debut. You bring him in, Andre the Giant Battle Royale, he wins it, and the way they've been, with the winners, he's got the look, he's got the build. I haven't followed him outside, but just the little bit we saw at the Royal Rumble and then Friday, and I did a little bit of research on him. Guy seems legit, like he could really do something there.
Yeah, and like you said, they just debuted him. He definitely could be in there. Tama Tonga, a guy they've kind of tried to separate
Mhm.
among the MFDs, could use that, I think, a little bit in storyline to elevate him. Um, I just love Kit Wilson. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's very strange because I've been saying too for years between Pretty Deadly. I thought Kit Wilson was the other guy,
Yeah.
right? I thought Elton Prince kind of carried the group as much as there was for that group, right? And now I'm interested when Elton Prince is ready to go. Like he's going to have a lot of catching up to do
Mhm.
to reach Kit Wilson. I still think they could do Pretty Deadly, but they might even scrap that and just say, "All right, Prince, you got to find your own thing here." Because Kit Wilson is a lot of fun. Obviously, not going to win a whole lot of matches,
Yeah.
but as a joke, and if he wins Andre the Giant, and then starts calling it toxic, I think you got something you could run with there.
I don't know. He's cursed, man. I don't think he's gonna.
That's
He
true. He's
got
cursed
cursed on
right now.
Friday by Danhausen, so I don't think he's gonna have success. But it's funny you mentioned that about the Pretty Deadly because I also saw that in injuries, man. In every sport, football, Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe,
Yeah.
doesn't get hurt. You don't know. NBA, you have all these things. And with Kit Wilson, like you said, he's not winning a lot, but hey, he's on every Friday. He gets segments and he gets matches. Like Chelsea Green says, screen time, you
Yeah.
get money. Nobody forgets your faces. Maybe one day you'll, get on a great segment and blow up kind of like she did.
Yeah, yeah, and again, they're both characters that are kind of comedy characters. They
Mhm.
don't have to win necessarily, but just be good enough in the ring, and they are to carry and get more screen time, like you said. So I'm always interested to see what they do with the Andre. And in as much as I don't think there's any juice left in the MFDs versus the Wyatt Six, they've had to have something planned this whole time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've called this for a long time. Is there some sort of payoff? This has got to be the end. So I don't know.
Is this 8-man tag match like a no holds bar, like a no disqualification? Like
I don't know.
any special stipulations on them?
I don't know. I honestly, again, didn't care enough to like really focus in on it.
I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, it needs to be something where something happens to the Wyatt Six, they get offed, and then they come back. Yeah, it's kind of super.
Yeah.
Something like that. Because if it's just a one-on-one where Bo Dallas gets pinned or Solo gets pinned again, then the whole year, I think, of this feud would just have been wasted.
Yeah. You hope there's something good to come out of this. But we'll wait and see. With my I'm not gonna hold my breath. Let's get into the Saturday match card. Again, this will be WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas. This will be April 18th and then the 19th as well. By the way, we'll be doing Nuclear Heat next week. Kind of as a live watch along there at the end of it in night 2 at our normal time. So that could be a lot of fun. John Cena hosting the event. Also interesting because maybe you could have stretched out John Cena to have a final match here and just kind of move that whole time period a little bit. Certainly would have been interesting, but of course that was part of last WrestleMania was supposed to be his last WrestleMania. He got the win and all that, so I get it. But if he's going to be there hosting, maybe they could have moved some stuff around.
Yeah, and this just tells you how bad the sales were and how desperate they kind of were that they had to. I heard rumors that they actually were like, hey, I know we just did the retirement tour, but would you do one more match? And he's like, absolutely not. He's like, I'll host.
Yeah.
But even that was announced 2 weeks before. Like that could have been something announced, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. You give people 2 weeks, of, John Cena's going to, I didn't even know he was going to be announced until yesterday or Friday.
Okay.
Friday. Yeah. I was like, oh, he's announcing. Okay. Yeah. Next week, we're going to see John Cena.
Which you never know what that means either. That means he could be like make one appearance each night, or, they could really lean into it, or he could just, again, it could just be a few appearances. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But at least they're trying to get the star power in the wrestling community out with John Cena. Saturday's match card features the first two matches will be on the first hour on ESPN2. And it looks like they're a little bit surprised, but they're going to start potentially with this unsanctioned match between Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre. Again, I always think the start and the finish are the most important matches of the night. Is that I'll go ahead and ask you, excitement level from 0 to 10? Would this be your opener?
Yeah, I'd go 8 out of 10, on this one. I think this is one that has kind of naturally progressed. Drew McIntyre should be the title holder. He should have been the champ going into WrestleMania. They took it off of him for their golden boy, Cody Rhodes. And so, he's doing a heck of a job. And, he and Jacob Fatu, I thought, have been doing a great job building up for it.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I'm excited for it. They've fallen off of buildings, and been really. I always say Drew McIntyre is my favorite actors on, and I thought he's been doing a good job. Again, the emphasis he kind of puts into his promos there, and Jacob Fatu's kind of coming along as well, getting more screen time and more mic time specifically. And he's mostly just yell based on his yelling, which again, he's intimidating enough that can work. And it's the second unsanctioned match in WWE history. So I'm interested to see, especially if they're going to play with that in the opener and be like, all right, this isn't, this kind of isn't our WrestleMania start. We have to do the unsanctioned match first. The other option would be to open with the 6-man tag match between Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and I Show Speed against the Usos in LA Knight. I Show Speed, who is also cursed, is why he's all wrapped up into this. We've been expecting, and then less so expecting the Vision to take on the Usos at WrestleMania. Then they kind of did it, and it was kind of like, okay, so what's the next thing here? It ends up being I Show Speed in LA Knight. Excitement level here.
Yeah, I'll go with the 7. I think this one's more for. I'm going to contradict myself here. This is a celebrity one I like. I like I Show Speed. I think, last year's Royal Rumble was great, where he gets speared by Braun Breaker. The whole he's cursed is great. I'm an LA Knight fan, so I'll tune in for this. This one makes sense to be on the 2 hours free on ESPN2, because if you want to grab an audience, I Show Speed, Logan Paul, as much as, we can say, but those are 2 of the biggest streamers in the world. You show that, for free on ESPN2, you get people to say, oh, okay, they put on a good match or they're funny. That's kind of how you reel in fans. So that's a good use of your celebrity there.
Yeah. I think it's at least an interesting one.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily love it for all the folks involved, specifically LA Knight. He's supposed to kind of have this, and of course the Vision being battered going into WrestleMania has kind of altered a lot of their plans. He's been kind of had this long battle with them, feels kind of lost in the WrestleMania moment here, but I mean, he was added with the Usos. Again, Jey Uso, probably a little bit not where he wanted to be compared to last year now. But again, you got a spot at WrestleMania. We'll see. It kind of feels like a match you could also have on SmackDown.
Yeah, on Raw.
On Raw, yeah. But it's there.
Are the reports true? Did you hear? Is Braun Breaker actually cleared?
I don't know. I haven't seen that.
I've been hearing a lot that he's cleared. They just obviously it's too late. But hey, if if he can get involved in something like this too, I think that he's not a huge name outside, but for us, the Vision, that'd be a fun time for him to kind of come back.
Yeah, we'll see. And too, you remember Raw after WrestleMania is always fun, so they kind of have to pick and choose what they do with their talent that might be coming back. So we'll see. Maybe something gets going there. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll pick up where we left off. Now getting into still in night 1, of WrestleMania. We'll preview that coming up next year on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket.
Ready for the hot weather ahead? Get it checked now before you really need it. Call Bryant now to schedule your spring air conditioning service check. No matter what brand equipment you have, Bryant's trained technicians will thoroughly clean, inspect, and test to make sure it's ready to cool efficiently when hot weather hits. Stay cool and comfortable with air conditioning services from Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. 467-1111 to schedule your AC check. Bryant, whatever it takes.
At DWE Generations, having a plan matters, especially when it comes to protecting what's most important. They work with individuals, families, and business owners to help make smart financial decisions that support life today and set the foundation for generations. David Darlington, Russell Walton, and Cody Eiler bring decades of experience, and their dedicated team provides follow-through, answering questions, explaining next steps, and staying connected as life evolves. DWE Generations, a generational wealth planning firm. DWE Generations is a marketing name for individuals doing business as representatives of Northwestern Mutual. Visit generations.nm.com or call 402-483-7871 and ask for David, Russell, or Cody.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement. There are so many realtors in Lincoln and Omaha, but don't get overwhelmed by all of the no-names, plus all the different companies. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate is your go-to option, whether buying or selling residential, luxury, leasing, investment properties, or commercial property, small or large. Ben's team offers decades of experience, unbeatable customer service, and promises to fully protect your interests throughout the entire transaction. Call 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador Real Estate.
Nutrition Authority presents Fusion 30, an ultra premium protein ideal for anyone wanting to look, feel, and perform their best. Fusion 30 can only be found at Nutrition Authority. Stop in today for a free sample, visit with a certified nutritionist, and get better than internet pricing. For store info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
Gentlemen, are you ready for something beyond the ordinary haircut? At Scissors and Scotch Lincoln, they blend your old school barber feel with your favorite watering hole. Sink into a comfy chair, unwind with a complimentary drink, and let their master barbers handle the rest. It's not just grooming, it's an experience. Whether you're prepping for a big meeting, needing to get cleaned up before family comes to town, or just need a little time to yourself, Scissors and Scotch Lincoln delivers sharp style every time. Book now at Scissors and Scotch in Lincoln, just south of 30th and Yankee Hill Road.
93.7 The Ticket is Lincoln's home for Kansas City Royals baseball in 2026. Catch all the action as Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and a pitching rotation led by Cole Reagans try to lead the Royals back to the postseason. That's Kansas City Royals baseball all summer long. On the air in Lincoln at 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you looking?
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hello, I'm Jake Bockoven here with my tag team partner, Augie Pena, as we preview WrestleMania 42, which will be this weekend. Yes, we're talking pro wrestling here on 93.7 The Ticket. We got a little bit into Saturday's match card, including Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre in the Vision, along with Show Speed against the Usos in LA Knight. Let's pick up from there as we transition from ESPN2 now to, what is it, ESPN Plus? Or
yeah,
you got whatever the streaming service you've got. Stephanie McCare against Liv Morgan. Of course, Liv Morgan got here by winning the Battle Royale. And might be coming in with a bit of a bruise or something on her noggin from this past week. Stephanie McCare seems, I mean, they've been kind of stuck with kind of brawling and not so much getting in the ring, but a lot of brawling the last several weeks. What is your level of excitement for this one?
I think this one will be an 8 out of 10. This one I'm pretty excited for, but as we know, former guys that have had some issues with concussions, Liv Morgan, we'll have to see what kind of a version of her we get, as after that big, massive, head injury that she got, courtesy of Stephanie McCare and Roxanne Perez. If this match doesn't happen for some reason, I think that would really hurt. This match. But if it goes along as planned, 8 out of 10, I'd be pretty excited.
We got to get your winners too here. Jacob Fatu, Drew McIntyre.
I think it's going to be Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, I do too. Drew McIntyre is in his usual food where he helps elevate it and then just takes the loss at the end. The Vision and Show Speed, who's cursed, reminder, against the Usos in LA Knight.
I think it's going to be the Usos in LA Knight. Yeah,
I agree. Because Show Speed is cursed. How's he going to get out of it? So we'll see. And that's, again, a tough kind of year for the Vision to land where it could have been. But that's where we are. Again, kind of strange the tag team title's not even on the line. Of course, I get it with the outside players coming into it, but that's another thing that seems a little bit odd. And then Stephanie McCare against Liv Morgan.
I think Liv Morgan, just coming back, the momentum she had. And then it kind of would go into the Judgment Day breaking up because, Raquel, Roxanne, they could kind of fight over the title. So I think it'd be Liv Morgan.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. I like Stephanie McCare. They did put the title on her pretty quickly. And I would be interested to see where they go from her. But her championship reign, again, has been mostly just brawling and scuffling with folks behind, outside of the ring. So this is going to be good for it if she does get the win. but I do think we got to lean into Liv Morgan here. All right, excitement level for Seth Rollins and Gunther here on night one. I'm pretty excited. This one doesn't have a whole lot of long-term history, but it's got some intrigue going into Saturday.
This one I think is also going to be 8 out of 10. Just like you said, it kind of came out of nowhere, but these are two great, phenomenal wrestlers. This is what you like, right? Two great guys just, in the ring, out of the ring. Here we go. You get a match at WrestleMania. Gunther's doing this because he probably wants, Brock Lesnar, so he's doing it as a favor for Paul Heyman. I think it's worked. This is one of those they put together last minute. I think it works 8 out of 10.
Yeah, and it's very interesting with that one, especially when we talk about Cody and Randy, is that these were long-term stories. I mean, kind of these stories of wrestling. Remember coming out of last year, Rollins got Paul Heyman, the vision started. That was coming out of WrestleMania. Gunther hasn't had the greatest WrestleMania memories, but he's been retiring folks. And so, you kind of get to this spot, and it's not necessarily that they lined up perfectly. But again, that's kind of the intrigue, is now what's going to happen next with the story. I could see, and you got to look through each one and every one of these. Which one of these are making it to Backlash? This seems like a possibility. At least some element of it is at Backlash as well.
Yeah, I agree. And this one could be the match of the night, right? It could be just that fun there. And honestly, this is one I don't know who wins, because Seth Rollins coming back, trying to burn down the vision, be his own man, has that legion of masked men. And then you got Gunther, who they've given Goldberg, John Cena, and AJ Styles to retire. He's supposed to be the ultimate, heel legend killer, if you want to say it, whatever you'd want to put him, because he can't use legend killer. But, they both need a win. So to your, interference somehow comes in. Gunther takes out all those masked men, and then Seth Rollins. And so I think this one has to end in some type of interference. I just don't, I don't see who can take the pin here.
There's a lot of unpredictability in this one, and that's what's exciting. Like you said, Gunther, is he going to cash in on his favor already in the match with Seth Rollins? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that wouldn't necessarily always have to stop them. But there is a lot of kind of characters around this. Like you said, maybe a Braun Breaker interference. You would doubt anything with Brock going into Sunday. He's got his own problems, but Seth Rollins said that he served Brock Lesnar on a platter to Obafemi, so they already are somewhat connected there. So yeah, it's tough to predict that one. And I would say that there's no way that you can build up Gunther like that and then have him lose at WrestleMania again. But that's what they've been doing the last couple of years. It seems to be a formula they seem to work for him. If I have to lean one way, I would go with Seth Rollins, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Gunther comes away with this one.
So I take back my Braun Breaker interfering in the 6-man tag match. This would be the one, if he were to come back, I could see him or anyone in the division costing Seth Rollins. Maybe Gunther gets, okay, then we can do a split here. I think Gunther gets the win, but it's going to be off of an interference by somebody.
Yeah, definitely could see that, and that would allow some backlash. To take place.
Yep, you'd have a 6-man match or something. I think would come from it. But yeah, I think this is going to be the start of kind of a longer feud.
Yeah. Also on Saturday night will be the Women's Intercontinental Championship match between AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. What I do like about Becky Lynch is this one, and I'll ask you your excitement level here, but I think AJ Lee is the obvious choice to win.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean Becky Lynch won't win. So there is kind of that element going into it. Are you excited about this match? We've seen it, but it's been the feud they've been kind of sitting on. Obviously, AJ Lee's WrestleMania moment now after returning. So that'll be cool. And Becky Lynch, I think, again, has returned from kind of joke, mess around Becky Lynch. All right, let's kind of position her to be the man again.
No, I think this one's going to be a 4 out of 10.
You're not too excited.
I'm not, because their interviews, man, have been just the worst. Their segments, just what they've done. I think the worst thing for them is, and this is going to sound so harsh, but AJ Lee speaking. I think that has not been great, because she is not great at cutting promos. Becky Lynch is great. AJ Lee is not. And I think that has killed it, because, we talked about it at Elimination Chamber. They had the match. They shouldn't have had the match. They should have had this wait to see this. We saw it. She won. Becky Lynch is going in for revenge, or AJ Lee could say Becky Lynch has never beat her. But for us fans, if you're not, really behind one of them two, what's in it for us in this one now? Because we've seen it. And like I said, the promos have I don't think they've been great.
Well, and it's another one of those strange, again, so much is focused on Pat McAfee and what's going on in that feud. that it was weird because like I thought that the Roman CM Punk feud was missing. Not that it needs anything, right?
Yeah.
And they just kind of need to fill time, but it was kind of got into this weird space of like, hey, your dad's dead. Hey, you're old, right? I mean, that's where we had back to back weeks kind of end in their feud, and so it was kind of like, I don't know if they're doing the best job there. And then you get into some of these other feuds, and you just think about how they're constructed. Like this one is still the biggest kind of underlying story that they finished off with is that Becky Lynch's daughter likes AJ Lee, which Becky Lynch told AJ Lee without being provoked about, and now that's kind of the big line that hurts.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. You know what like you said, what they've been doing, what they've been saying, it just I hate to say it because I was so excited when AJ Lee came back, right? I was like, this is great. And then she started cutting promos that weren't great. And, like you said, that is just weird. They've been very sloppy with this one. Becky Lynch, I thought, has done a great job of trying to carry this promo. I'm going to say 4 out of 10. And I'm going to actually say Becky Lynch probably wins this one because unfortunately I see this one kind of going to Backlash as well. Or
no way, they can't keep this going, can they?
It's either that's going to happen or AJ Lee is going to go away till WrestleMania season or SummerSlam again.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And Becky, has been able to drop the Intercontinental, and whatever she picks it up, it's better off, right?
Yeah.
When she gets it back. So, they could kind of keep running with that storyline of, hey, I've been beaten a few times, but I'm the best one to hold it type of situation. I agree with you. I think Becky will probably win that. Saturday night, then, we also have the Women's Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way match. Nia Jax and Lash Legends are the champions coming in. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. One of the competing teams, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, another, and the Bella Twins, all going to do battle. Again, they've been kind of working on this all year, putting these teams together, making it make sense coming in. And again, this is a feud. Maybe they've been kind of, it's kind of the obvious pair them off into singles and have each other, fight each other before in the last couple of weeks. So might not be the hottest thing coming in, but they, again, have kind of taken a lot from their singles division to put in a very competitive tag team. And this is the payoff. What's the level of excitement here?
I'm going to say a 6 out of 10, just because I think these teams have been outside of maybe the Bella Twins. It's still the Bella Twins, but you haven't seen them compete. Nia Jax and Lash Legend aren't my favorite, but they're they're giants, compared to the rest of them. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, great. And then Bayley and Lyra, I don't like it, but their chemistry works. My question on this one is, with it actually being a fatal 4-way, it's not going to be like one of those where they have to tag in and all that, right? Like the teams, this one here is just each team has a representative, right? And they go at it, and is it the first team to get a pin or is it the last one? I never know how to win these things.
Yeah, it is kind of tough to figure out what exactly they're doing there. I think it is the first to secure a pinfall of any opponent wins, is my understanding of this match. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I think is going on here. And I think, it is in a position where I think any team can win. Now, if Nia Jax and Lash Legend win, that's, again, like you said, they're not the most over with the crowd, so that would kind of be a surprise. And they're already champions, so it wouldn't be like making the moment at WrestleMania. Yeah. So I'd say they're a long shot actually to retain here. I can see anybody else winning. I think the Bella Twins a little bit more of a long shot too. Yeah. But I think that, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss have already held the title. I think this is Bayley and Lyra Valkyria.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And they've been the focus of a buildup, right? Like Bayley has kind of had her struggles getting on the WrestleMania card again. Lyra, like, not my favorite, but they have been on, they have segments. They have maybe 2 segments every Monday night. So they've kind of been the focal point. So I do unfortunately think it's going to be Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, but they could surprise and have a great reign. But they went away from that whole is Bayley a good guy, bad guy thing way too soon, because now she's just a good guy and she's going to get a tag team championship out of it.
Yeah. I still think Bayley's great and the pairing has worked. And again, I like Lyra now that not everything is handed to her, right? And so this feels like one that she might have to work toward. Although this would be the second time at WrestleMania she's won a title, right? Because she won last year with Becky. Yep. So yeah, that'd be kind of interesting too. Then we talked mostly about, let's get to the main event here, Saturday night. Cody Rhodes and Jelly Roll against Randy Orton and Pat McAfee, maybe?
I'm going to say a 5 out of 10. And that's strictly because I want to see Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. That's the only reason. what could save this match and save the way I think about Jelly Roll for a split second is if he started the match, just takes out Pat McAfee, and then allows just Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton to have a match. I think, shenanigans happen at the beginning and a steel chair, maybe something, Pat McAfee gets taken out. Jelly Roll lays on him, something. I don't know. Just prevents him from being, on top of the table, something. And then Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton get to have an actual match with nobody interfering. I think that makes it a 9 out of 10. But if they're in each other's corner and things happen, it's like a 5 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I'm just so interested in this match because I think a lot of the longtime viewers are less excited. The people tuning in might be more excited to see these people involved. How much involvement will there be? What would be the reception if Randy Orton wins? Because normally the crowd would go wild, but right now with Pat McAfee, the crowd's not necessarily on that side. At the same time, they're trying to force this like Cody Rhodes has to save wrestling against the new guy that says wrestling's bad type of situation. So is that where you leave off night one of Saturday, going into Sunday, kind of on a good note, or is it on the bad note, quote unquote, with Randy Orton and Pat McAfee? I'm gonna say Cody wins this one, and I don't even know how to and maybe this is what they ultimately needed to do, was because there was no way people were turning on Randy Orton, and that was part of the problem. Was Randy fans were like overshadowing the need or want for Cody to win this. I'm not quite there, but I'd say somehow I might be even cheering for Cody to win.
No. See.
Can't go that far. Huh?
This is in my mind, which is wrong, probably, but Randy Orton wins it. Pat McAfee celebrates with him. Everybody's going crazy. Randy Orton kicks him or RKOs Pat McAfee to end the show, kind of severs a relationship with him, is like, I used you, holds the title up, boom. There you go. Pat McAfee got his thumb up. Randy Orton wins, title number 15, becomes third all time. Because he's tied with Triple H right now, right?
Yeah.
And then he just be behind Cena and Ric Flair, which 3 title reign, they could play hot potato with it. So I think that's how they end it. Randy Orton wins, and then he does something to Pat McAfee to make the crowd go crazy.
Well, that's fantasy booking at its best.
100%.
I hope that's what happens. I just don't trust it at this point in time. We'll come back and talk about night 2 at WrestleMania 42 coming next year on Nuclear Heat.
Seems like just the other day, I was building my first house. I've seen many changes to our building market in Lincoln. It's been a fun road.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
We hear this a lot where I don't want to live in a cookie cutter home. Well, let's come up with some answers on what we're going to build, where we're going to build it, and what it's going to cost. One thing that we started doing early on was we started building neighborhoods. I'm a firm believer in character in your street and in your neighborhood. I like choice. I like variation. I like maybe something a little bit different in a neighborhood that you don't see in every neighborhood. I think it's great to have choices, its uniqueness, and I think that's what gives a neighborhood character. And I think that's what we've done over the years.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Hey, this is Jay Foreman, the host of Old School, 3 to 6 p.m. here at 93.7 The Ticket. And one of my favorite things to do is come down and meet all the fans before and after as they cheer on our beloved Huskers.
This message is brought to you by the Downtown Lincoln Association and 93.7 The Ticket.
Let's fly. Your next trip starts at Lincoln Airport with American Airlines. Now flying nonstop service to Dallas, Fort Worth, and Chicago. American Airlines connects Lincoln to major hubs and destinations around the globe. Wherever you're headed, LNK gets you there with new nonstop flights on American Airlines. Convenient, fast, and stress-free. Book your next flight at LincolnAirport.com. LNK. Make flying easy.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
This is Grant Wister. I played it.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are indeed back here on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket, previewing WrestleMania 42 from Las Vegas this week. And I'm Jake Bockoven. He is Augie Pena, and we do this every week. We will be watching alongside you next week for, I think, night 2. By the time Nuclear Heat comes out, I think the WrestleMania will be wrapping up. Maybe get to the final match. So let's go ahead and jump into it. 2 matches featured in the first hour on ESPN. And I think this is the one they'll open up with because it makes a lot of sense. Obafemi and Brock Lesnar. Excitement level for this one.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
This is the match I'm most excited to look forward to. The whole, just let these two guys go at it. Oba's going to win, I think, because he needs to. But I think Brock is realizing, let's finally put over talent. And this one's going to be a banger. 10 out of 10. Yeah.
I mean, it's got to finish with Obafemi getting the win and would really propel, into Raw after Mania and all that sort of stuff is the excitement and see what would happen next. You think that they would do that here. But I'm with you. I mean, they've let physicality kind of carry this feud, which is a good thing. I mentioned it before, and I'll say it again here. When you do these all-out brawls in every feud, kind of lessons from the major ones, and really lessons from, especially when you do it with medium-sized guys or gals. It lessons from when you have these big guys, and then it looks like, okay, we don't see this every week. So their brawl that was trying to be broken up was really strong. People like it. Again, I think it's going to be always great in the arena, and that's why they do it so often. But I would say hold back for feuds like this when it's like, man, and then you're really questioning, how much they're kind of putting into keeping each other apart and all that. So, that would be one small critique in a feud that's been done very well coming into this. Obafemi obviously getting kind of the upper hand so far on Brock Lesnar, which again needs to happen as the new guy. That will be a lot of fun there on ESPN. The Intercontinental Championship ladder match between Penta, who comes in as the champion. At least I don't even check. Did he beat Vikingo? I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure he did.
They almost have to.
Yeah.
In AAA the other night against Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, and Rey Mysterio. Not even Rey Fenix. Yeah, Rey Mysterio jumping into it at the end there. Interesting match. A lot of these guys qualified not even on regular TV, which was kind of weird. So an interesting way to get here. Feels like a bunch of guys kind of thrown together. You've certainly got a little bit of theme, I suppose, in the luchadors. You got 3 luchadors in here. I always thought they need to kind of put over Penta with Rey Mysterio. I think that's kind of part of this idea and all this. So I think that would probably be the ideal situation, is that Penta comes out on top, and he just hasn't had his, I think this is the first time he's going to defend his championship. So we'll see kind of what happens here. I'm excited for the level of physicality or athleticism, if you will, in this match. But the question is, among your excitement level for this one, a lot of people were a little bit frustrated with Rey Mysterio jumping in because everybody thought, well, he wasn't medically cleared for the Rusev match. Again, that's a match that the IWC put together. There's no, WWE didn't necessarily tease that. People thought because Dragon Lee was, Rusev, you might have that connection there. So you didn't get that. But if Rey Mysterio's not ready to retire, you can't force the match, right?
Yeah, you can't. And, I'm excited for it. I think Rey Mysterio, I know he's like 50, right?
Yeah.
But him in a ladder match. I mean, this is what I asked for, right? Because we were talking about people that were being left out. I said Intercontinental Championship ladder match, 9 out of 10, and I'm with you. I think Penta, retained here. But man, Rey Mysterio, Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, The odd man out is 100% Rusev. He's not a high flyer.
Right.
So I'm thinking he's going to kind of just be the ground, the strength. But yeah, I think Penta, man, these guys in a ladder match, I think is going to be a lot of fun, but Penta will retain here.
Yeah. And the only other one that I would think would have a pretty good shot, although all of them could use it for the character, kind of a boost, absolutely. But Javon Evans, just because of how well he's done in the ring so far, could be a WrestleMania moment for the young OG there. We'll see. Women's championship match, Jade Cargill, the champion, against Rhea Ripley. Maybe Rhea Ripley is taking out Jade Cargill's sidekicks. Maybe not. We'll have to see what happens this week going into it. Io Sky, somehow somewhat involved in this, maybe going to be involved in this. What is your level of excitement, Adrian?
1 out of 10.
Whoa, wow, it's bad.
We talked about Jade Cargill, how she wasn't great. She looks the part, not great in the ring, not great on the mic, just has nothing going for her. They've done nothing, right? Then you add Mishin and BFAB, jobbers as her sidekick. You bring in Rhea Ripley, who's the hottest name. That can't even save it. These have been bad segments. I think, the buildup has been horrible. I'm not excited about it. Rhea Ripley's going to win this. And then I think Jade Cargill is not going to sniff a title for a while.
Yeah, the only concern here is if Rhea Ripley does win it, what's next for Jade Cargill, right? I mean, it's going to be kind of tough to come back from what would be not a very good championship reign. Rhea's kind of interesting because she doesn't necessarily need the championship. She could certainly roll into any next feud and be just as strong. So that's the only reason why I could see maybe them going with Jade Cargill here. But from a momentum standpoint, I mean, again, she needs this maybe more than anybody. I don't know if that means she gets it though.
Yeah, and she needs it. But this one is a perfect one. Rhea wins. Her first defense is against Jade Cargill. Backlash, all that.
Yeah.
Jobber. I mean, that's kind of what they do for champions anyways, right? Their first backlash is going to be jobbers for everybody. Kind of easy feuds to win. I mean, I know that's not great for Jade Cargill, but we've seen WWE give up on people a lot sooner. And I think the receptions and just everything, I'm afraid that they may give up on her pretty fast.
All right, let's go. We have to go a little bit quicker here. The Demon Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio.
Oh, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And I think the Demon's got to win this one.
Yeah, I think so too. You got to, if you're going to pull out the Demon after 3 years, it's got to be there.
Yep.
I do think they maybe did the angle a little bit too soon. Would have loved a little bit more into it, but this is one of my favorite matches, like you said. So I'm excited for the 10 out of 10 here as well. Sami Zayn against Trick Williams. Very interesting. The crowd has turned on Sami Zayn, now looking toward Trick Williams. This is about as bad as they could have had for Sami Zayn coming in this past week on SmackDown. He basically said if the Ride or Die Sami Zayn fans will be there, but the problem is I'm not Ride or Die. I'm less interested in his character maybe than ever because they just never got it to something interesting. He's supposed to go for the top belts. Now he's here. And Trick Williams at least has a champ people like. Lil Yachty is what he is.
Yeah.
He's there. Yeah. But, man, I got to go with Trick. I got to go with Trick on this.
Yep, I agree. It's about it. My excitement's about a 6 out of 10. I think Trick's got to win. And then, hey, maybe a Sami Zayn true heel turn. And then if he retains and he's a heel, okay. But this should have been Carmelo Hayes, and kind of just what he did. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Trick Williams on this one.
All right, the main event, again, I think this will be on when Nuclear Heat comes on, so we'll talk you through it next week. CM Punk, the champ, against Roman Reigns. Excitement level and prediction here.
I think I'm 8.5 out of 10, and I got to say CM Punk has to retain here. Roman Reigns has done everything. He's already had his time, and he is a part-timer, right? I mean, as much as you hate to say it, so I would hate for Roman Reigns to win and then kind of go away for a while again. CM Punk, he wins. Says he took out Roman Reigns and can kind of carry for a while again.
I could definitely see that happening. Just for entertainment's sake, I'll go with Roman Reigns on this side.
All right.
Because if he does win, like you said, there are those things that bring it down. But if they need wrestling, and again, it's tough to tell where wrestling is at right now. They want that hot again. If Roman Reigns is the champ, I think that's where you're turned to some maybe familiar territory, but some well-known territory that it's at least in the right hands. So we'll see if that's where they go. Again, we'll talk you through the episode for Sunday Night SmackDown next week on our episode. I messed that. Sunday Night WrestleMania. We'll still talk about SmackDown, I'm sure, because, of course, my favorite match of the year is on that with Andre the Giant. But that'll wrap it up for Nuclear Heat. We'll talk to you during WrestleMania next week on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket.